Just wanted to first respond to Mimi. We do run the world. That's okay. Krakow is a very beautiful city, and I apologize in advance to Prague, but we have the best preserved Jewish quarter anywhere in Europe, 7 renovated pre-war synagogues, a beautiful old town. Krakow is also the city next to Auschwitz. And in 2008, our center was opened by Prince Charles and tasked with rebuilding the Jewish community. And how do you rebuild Jewish community when everybody associates the place that you're rebuilding in with death, with tragedy, with loss? We decided that that answer was somewhat obvious, which is life. When people want to come to Poland and only see tragedy and only see death, and we understood that we need to show them not only dead Jews, but living Jews. I remember right after we opened, March of the Living, and again, nothing against March of the Living. We work very closely with them, so these days. I remember standing outside in front of our building, beautiful, new, modern, nice building in the heart of the Jewish quarter, and seeing all these people in March of the Living walk by and saying, hey, do you want to come in and meet some survivors? Do you want to come in and maybe see kids in the Sunday school? And they'd say, no, we're in a hurry. We don't have time. I'd say, where are you going? Well, we just went from Treblinka, and we were in Majdanek and Belzec, and we're hurrying to Auschwitz. And it occurred to me that that was just something a little bit off, that our focus on tragedy, not that we shouldn't commemorate the Holocaust, but we have to be perhaps a little less focused only on tragedy. So, Monica, we decided to be somewhat aggressive and said, hey, March of the Living, put a banner up. Hey, March of the Living, come inside and see some Jewish life. You know what happened? There you go. March of the Living came in and saw Jewish life. I think last year I spoke in 2 days to 27 separate groups. So I felt we had to change the banner to, of course, thank you, March of the Living, for coming in and seeing Jewish life. Fair is fair. People, about 2 million visitors a year go to Auschwitz. And March of the Living, not to pick on March of the Living, goes from Auschwitz to Birkenau, which is not necessarily much of an improvement. So we decided to do something else, to go from Birkenau, Auschwitz-Birkenau, a place of tragedy and loss, to our JCC, which is a place of hope and life, run by him. Okay. And start a bicycle ride from Auschwitz to in this case, Birkenau, to the JCC, call it Ride for the Living, to support our Jewish community. And we have about 300 guests from all over the world that come and do this bicycle ride. It's our largest fundraiser of the year. Last year we raised over €1 million on this bicycle ride, which again, always moving past the tragedy, from the darkness to the light, always about life. When the war started in Ukraine, we decided that our theory, if we're going to be a very life-focused organization, it can't only be for us, it has to be for everybody. And we decided that we were going to get involved and to try to help Ukraine as much as possible. We started feeding people. There was a line in front of our building. The line grew. We put it out on social media. People started to see what we were doing. We started to raise more money. Then we started to house people. And then the war continued, as we all know. We started to provide them with all kinds of humanitarian aid. And it grew and grew and grew. And somehow, to date, our little JCC has directly supported 500,000 Ukrainian refugees, 99% of whom are not Jewish. And we've raised and spent about $15 million on Ukraine. Why do we do this? Well, when we think about the Holocaust, as you do quite often when you're living in Krakow next to Auschwitz, you realize perhaps that 6 million number is so high because of indifference. And 80 years ago, when the Jews were the primary victims, almost nobody cared. And our community, 90% of whom was murdered in the Holocaust, can either respond and say, we don't owe, nobody helped us, therefore we don't owe that to anybody, or we can say, no, we know the particular pain of what it means to be forsaken, and that gives us a particular responsibility to try to help others. So this focus on life, how does it manifest itself in terms of what we're doing? Well, we're providing almost all the community services to a growing, thriving Jewish community, and I think we've helped change the narrative about Poland and the way Jews that come to see Auschwitz see Krakow also. So we have over 100,000 visitors a year that come into our building. That has enabled us to grow into a somewhat not such a tiny organization anymore, about 60 full-time staff and 1,200 Jewish members, and which allows us to, I think, show the Jewish world that life is possible even down the road from Auschwitz. And what I think, a takeaway for me from our work, and especially after October 7th, that we really have to take pains not to allow ourselves to be defined as victims, not to define ourselves as victims. In my opinion, the reason that we're still around after 2,000 years is not that it's been 2,000 easy years, but it's been over the years we've not allowed ourselves to be defined as victims. And I think the idea, I know that many of your communities are dealing in a post-Holocaust environment as well, post-Holocaust, post-communist environment, but I guess our community, for certain degrees, is sort of defined by it because we are the community next to Auschwitz. So I think that post-October 7th, we have to really take huge pains not to allow ourselves to be defined as victims and to focus always on life. Thank you.